Hello class, I am George Scolace, and I'm doing my presentation on The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, so my presentation is on The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, with kind of a subtopic on opportunity inequality. So the setting of the story is 2001, a known time of political upheaval all over the world. September 11th had just happened, and in the country that they're in, and a region of Malawi, there is like great political unrest. Political figures aren't really caring about the people, more so just interpersonal politics, getting reelected and such. So the people are kind of on their own in this situation. The place is central Malawi. That's where William and his family live. They are farmers, and Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world. The culture that we have going on here is a very traditionalist culture. People of Malawi, Wimbe are traditionalist. They look to their chief for protection, guidance. He's like very much their leader. They have great respect for his patriarchal authority here. That culture, jumping forward a bit, that culture is then completely turned on its head when the chief speaks out against the government at a rally, and he is just brutally beaten by the bodyguards there at the rally. So their like figurehead that they look to for authority is no longer able to really be that for him, since he's slowly dying, kind of fighting for his life. William, our main character, lives with his family on the farm, and the kind of family dynamics that they have there is a very patriarchal structure, kind of reflecting their bigger kind of area. He lives with his father, mother, and sister, and they are a farming family. So they are very dependent on like the land for their income. They are basically like farming to survive and also make some money. We're shown that they have some amount of stability initially when the movie starts. They have like a metal roof, and they're able to initially send him to school, but that that kind of family dynamic is strained when the finances start to really spiral out of control, as they're completely dependent on the weather and just the crop yield that they have. So we have characters. We have the Kamkwamba family. Sorry with the pronunciation. Father Trywell, our main patriarchal figure, very strong father figure, but at the same time very established in his ways. His mother, Agnes, also very strong, like her husband, very empathetic, another very powerful figure, intrinsic in William's story. Without his mother, his village may have starved with her appeal to her father. Daughter Annie, complicated character here. Annie is in a difficult situation of being a woman in like a very poor region where she has very little agency and a way out, so to speak, with Mr. Kajanuga, if I'm saying that correctly, his teacher. And then of course William, our protagonist, our main character, very innovative, very inquisitive was the word that I kept thinking of when I was watching this film. He's always trying to figure out how things work, and also trying to find alternate solutions to problems. A great example was when he strung together dead batteries and alive batteries to make the radio work so they could watch the soccer game. I thought that was a great illustration of his ingenuity. We have some friends. Chief Wimbe, the chief who speaks out against the political injustice, and his son Gilbert, who is William's very good good friend. We have librarian Edith, who I think was my favorite character. Kind of comes across initially as like a strict no nonsense character, very ascribing to the rules, but when Mr. Chattanooga kind of appeals to her, saying, "Oh, don't tell the professor. Let's keep this on the down low. He just wants to learn." And she sees William just learning for learning's sake. She does everything she can to protect him and to help him out, and is also very important in this story. A good teacher who's just operating in the system that she's giving. And of course, Kamba, we got his doggo. I found like 3 different names online for what like the dog's name actually was, but Kamba is the one I think they give in the book. Just a companion that William has, and tragically it illustrates how the like helplessness of their situation, as of course like the dog can't provide for itself at all and is the first to die for starvation. That might have just been kind of like an emotional appeal in the movie, but for me, I really hammered home the point that like if you are unable to provide for yourself in certain circumstances, you will like starve to death. And it gave a very harsh dose of reality to our characters, specifically William, on how desperate their situation was, on how if something isn't done, they will die. Others, Mr. Kachagunda, complicated figure as well, helps William out a lot, leaves him the little generator from his bike that saves the village, gives him the idea, helps him get an education even when he can't. Now, mind you, William blackmailed him a little bit, but he also could have just refused. Then we have the president of Mulizi, President Mulizi, pardon me, who is one of the reasons why the people are struggling so much. Yes, there is a famine, and yes, there is like international upheaval going on, but he also has a notable effect on how little aid there is to the people. So key themes in the story, just desperation. All throughout this story, you see people doing the best they can with what they have, and just like rampant fear all over, not knowing what is coming next, if they will survive, and a lot of self-preservation. You see people stealing from William's family, and people like climbing all over each other to get grain when the government like subsidies come to town. Another theme, isolation. They are in the middle of the kind of big countryside. No one is coming to help, and there kind of is like nowhere to go if you don't have money. Some of William's friends say they're going to go north, but William says it himself, like, what if there's no food in the north? Like, you still need money to buy food. And while some can flee the situation, many cannot. Helplessness. Only the rain can help save them from starvation, and rain, like without trees, just will cause flooding. So it was even kind of more desperate than just like dependent on the rain. It was almost like a doomed situation, and there are no safe options. Like staying in one's place might lead to death. Going somewhere else might also lead to death. Those are the more bummer themes. The more encouraging themes would be sacrifice. Father figure, try hard. He's seen doing everything he can for his family, skipping meals, working hard. He doesn't know how to fix the situation, and while he is kind of the antagonist a little bit for just a moment, when he's refusing to give his bike, the bike is what got them their like rations initially. The bike was a huge asset, and sacrificing the bike would have been a huge risk, a risk that he like maybe didn't believe in. He didn't seem to have any education or formal education. So giving up the bike for him was a huge placement of trust in his son. And you know, him just like working in the fields, staying in Wimbe, big risks, but also just doing what they had to do to survive because they loved and cared for their family. A particularly powerful moment in the story is when Agnes is talking to Annie, and Annie is confused and upset at their situation. She's frustrated at the desperation they've gotten to. And Agnes says, when I cut off my right arm so you may eat, you will know I am your mother. And that is incredibly powerful. These people are in these very desperate situations, and there is no clean, good options for them, but they are loyal to each other and sacrificial to the next generation. That is very powerful. That kind of bleeds into the next one: family, loyalty to the family, protection of the family. We see Try Hard protecting the family in ways he knows how, sometimes more helpful than others. And with the exception of Annie, just like loyalty to the family, William is offered by his friends to go north with them, and he says no. And then finally, where we kind of get into the education aspect is ingenuity, experimentation. We see William experimenting with things from the scrapyard. We see him finding usefulness in everyday objects, things that his friends might think are like not worthwhile, like digging through the trash. And it also eventually leads to his salvation. He finds the pump. He knows he needs electricity to work the pump, and he makes it work. Takeaways here from the movie and times with the class is: unequal opportunity does not mean there is no hope. Unequal opportunity is temporary. We can give more opportunity. William in this story gave himself and his village an opportunity, even though it wasn't an equal one. He had an opportunity and he took it. He succeeded in situations where many could never have. And his life story really reflects that. He saved his village, his family. Another one is education can save lives. People living in first world countries may kind of forget how valuable that is. Education can save lives. Just a quick parallel: education about climate change. If we don't know about climate change, we're poisoning and killing our planet. Education, widely educating the world, will save lives. That's an aside. Here, literally saved life because he understood how a pump worked. He understood how electricity works and how to generate it, and that crops need water. And he saved his village. Thirdly, belief in education is imperative for it to be effective. We'll look later at some statistics, but aid, like foreign aid, rarely goes effectively into education where it really needs to. And you need to believe in that education in order for it to be utilized properly. William's father doesn't believe that he can like use his bike at first to save the town, and it's only when he does believe in it and make that sacrifice that the town and his family is saved. For many around the world, basic needs such as food usurp the pursuit of education. William is told, don't go back to the junkyard, don't make toys, don't go to school, you need to work on the farm. Why? Because his family might have starved if he didn't. Simple as that. There is like people in the world where the acquisition of an education might mean going hungry for the time when you're in school. Now later it'll reap excellent benefits, but in the novelization, or not novelization, there was a book first. In the book, William also has a younger sibling, like a young sibling. So it'd be even more imperative, like we need to take care of the baby. Otherwise, the babies are way more fragile than even like young kids. So working on the farm definitely superseded the need for education in this situation. Finally, if governments legitimately want to pursue education at all for all, many must acknowledge that having students pay for it is an unrealistic expectation for many. We see in the story that William can't go to school because he can't afford it, because his family is very, very poor, and that eliminates the opportunity for so many to go to school because they can't afford it. They need to pay for school clothes and tuition, and for many it's just out of reach, which is a shame because it should easily be funded. Connections to the coursework, I connected the two documents, Education in Conflict and Quality Education for the World We Want. Education in Conflict, while there isn't a war going on in where like William is at, he's not in the heart of conflict. There was like the war on terror beginning, so there was great international upheaval, and that influenced the situation a lot. As we see in the article, the poorest children are by far the most vulnerable. They don't have agency to use finances to get out of bad situations, as if they go anywhere else, they don't have money to pay for anything. They'll starve there too. Humanitarian aid is dependent on the government to use the funds correctly. In 2014, only 2% of humanitarian aid went to education. We can do a lot better than that. And it's shown in this story, schools are very, very underfunded. For the article, Quality Education for the World We Want, just illustrates that in our world, there's still great need for quality education funds. There is education in Williams Village, but that education they're getting is very rudimentary and very basic, as they just don't have the funds to do like higher learning and more advanced learning, because they just don't have time. They don't have the personnel. 58 million are denied the right to education. That is a huge, huge number. Outright denied, not counting the additionals who might partially have access to education, but need to drop out because of family or lack of being able to afford it. That number can be much, much bigger. And then Williams School was strict with enrollment policies because the little resources they had no other choice. We've seen lots of videos of super, super overcrowded classrooms. And I think the depiction in the film of like Williams' classroom is likely inaccurate, because those classes would be very, very full with all sorts of kids who could pay, and it seemed like it was like an average, like maybe like 30-person classroom, whereas potentially in reality it could have been much, much bigger, which also is a tough spot for potential education. And that is my presentation. In conclusion, this was a fantastic story about education saving lives in spite of everything else that happened, really demonstrating that even just a little education can go a long, long way, and how absolutely necessary it is for we as a world to pursue education for all, and just fund the socks off of it. Get funds to schools so they can properly educate people. Yeah, thank you for your time.